presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Sun.
Yesterday, the Rays offense came to life in New York, blasting 5 home runs, including 2 by birthday boy Steven Souza Jr. Tonight, the Rays return home to the Trop, with Chris Archer going to the hill against red-hot Manny Machado and the AL East leading Baltimore Orioles. Tonight we greet you from Tropicana Field, where the Rays return home for an 8-game stand. They'll be home over the next week and a half, coming off a week-long road trip, which they won 3 and dropped 3. And the first team in tonight, the Baltimore Orioles. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. Well, the Rays had their hitting shoes on, the long ball hitting shoes on yesterday as they wrapped up that road trip in New York.
How about that? I mean, you talk about explosion from seemingly out of nowhere in that ball game. There was nobody safe in the seats out at Yankee Stadium as the Rays would erupt for 5 home runs in that ball game, a runaway victory. Listen, this team is 4th in the American League in home runs, and we thought from the beginning of the season that they're a deeper lineup as far as home run potential goes. And already you have 10 different Rays that have recorded at least 1 home run. So they are getting production from everybody out there. Big swings, lots of swings, and they paid off in a big way yesterday with those 5 home runs. Now, you talk about another explosive player. This time on the other side, it's Manny Machado. And what about the start that he is off to? Leads the American League with an average of .380. He's 3rd in on-base percentage. He leads the American League in slugging percentage at .746. And in that 2-game series against the Rays a couple of weeks ago, he was 5 out of 8 for 2 home runs. What makes him so dangerous? Bat speed. He can get to the fastball, but he also does a nice job of staying back and punishing breaking balls. He's doing all of it right now.
And as starts go, the Orioles and Machado off to hot starts for Chris Archer, the Rays ace in their rotation. Well, he's trying to turn his around. Todd Callis addresses that issue, talking with Archer when we come back.
start of the year, the second against the Orioles. Baltimore comes in with the best record in the AL East, 11-6. The Rays are currently 8-10 and are 6-6 since losing both games up at Camden Yards against the O's. One of those two games started by Chris Archer, where he struggled back on April the 8th. Said in that game didn't have his A-plus slider. The Orioles took advantage. But for Archer, the early struggles magnified. If he was struggling during the middle of the season, there wouldn't be as much focus on it. And he said there's other guys, not just him, who have gotten off to slow starts.
These things happen. You look at what happened to David Price, his last outing, or how his season's going. You look at Adam Wainwright. You look at guys who their first 4 starts aren't pitching to their capability, and I'm sure they're not tripping, and I'm definitely not tripping about it.
Don't be tripping. Chris Archer looking for that first quality start of the year, averaging less than 5 innings a start. His longest outing has been 5 1/3. If nothing else, he wants to change that and get himself a team victory tonight as the Rays kick off a 3-game set with the Baltimore Orioles. We'll have all the action in less than 3.5 minutes.
Great to be back at the Trop to open this week and 1/2 long homestand. And the first team in, the Baltimore Orioles. And going to the mound is Chris Archer, making his 5th start. And here is the lineup he will be facing, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Leading off for Baltimore will be their rookie left fielder, Joey Rickard. Manny Machado hits second, followed by Adam Jones, Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo, and Matt Wieters down the middle. J.J. Hardy, Pedro Alvarez, Jonathan Scope will hit 9th.
Well, and the Rays and Chris Archer hoping tonight is the answer. It has been a tough start here this 2016 season for Chris Archer. 4 starts, an 0-4 record. You see the numbers for yourselves, but listen, he said that he's healthy, that he feels like his stuff is still there. It's just a matter of putting it all together. And the big key for Archer tonight, strike 1. Word from out ahead, things will probably go a whole lot better for you. Let's take a look at that Rays defense and see how it's going to line up behind Chris here tonight. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield left and right, we have Jennings, Kiermaier,
and Souza Jr. And then across that infield, third to first, Longoria, Miller, Forsythe, and Pierce with Kurt Casale behind the plate.
Well, Archer's had his issues with this club. He's 2-5 lifetime, 1-2 here at the Trop. And the first pitch of this game is a fastball in there for a strike. Well, there's the first step in the right direction. A first pitch strike. This one is foul, out of play the other way. And that's going to be interesting tonight against this Baltimore club. You know, the Rays have turned out to be an aggressive team this year in their lineup. The Orioles tend to be the opposite.
You've got certain guys, they've got a good mix. A guy like Adam Jones, he's Rays aggressive.
Yep.
You know, other guys in the lineup much more selective.
It's missed. There's the slider, and it's 1-2. There's Buck Showalter. Yeah, they're guys like Adam Jones. You're just not going to affect that way. But that's one of the things the Orioles stressed this spring with Buck Showalter, is to be patient in that lineup, because he's got some guys who can hit the ball a long way, and sooner or later they're going to get their pitches they're thinking. This one lifted toward left center. Kiermaier and Jennings, and it's Jennings in front of Kevin Kiermaier to make the catch. One gone. Well, the cold hard facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light, and Manny Machado atop that list. The Orioles have a 1-2 punch in Machado and Trumbo. Machado at 380, and Trumbo hitting down to the lineup at 373.
Well, right now leading the way. I mean, Manny Machado also leads the American League in slugging percentage.
And Machado takes a strike. So a couple of first pitch strikes here. Machado hitting over 400 in his career against Archer. Fouls that one deep down the right side, out of play. Well, here is Machado delivering for the Orioles up in Baltimore against Archer. He's hitting over 400 against right-handed pitching this year. I mean, healthy over 400 at 421.
Well, it goes back to, being able to take advantage of breaking balls like he did with Chris Archer that just were not of the quality that you're used to seeing from him and from other pitchers. And he's got a quick enough bat to be able to handle the fastball. And it is pretty incredible, though, the numbers against the righties, even as opposed to the lefties.
There's a cut and a miss. Down to first to complete that put out on the strikeout.
And that may have been a changeup right there. 91 miles an hour. You don't see this too often from Chris Archer. Bottom of the strike zone. You know what set up that swing was the first pitch of the at-bat. The fastball at the knees. That looks just like it. I've got to protect with two. Uh-oh, it bottomed out.
And you're so right. Archer, that changeup, his third pitch, you see it more against lefties, not so much to righties. But, boy, great results with the changeup to Machado right there. Here's Adam Jones. Pitch is down.
That will be interesting to watch going forward. Is this part of the game plan here tonight? This Baltimore team, you said they talked about it, the fact they've had some success off of Chris in the past. Different look maybe.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And you do that just a handful of times. And these guys talk on the bench like, oh, wait a minute, right on right changeup now?
Yep.
That'll make that fastball a little bit better, and it gives them something else they've got to contend with.
1 and 2.
It's part
there
of the
you
game
go.
plan.
Yep. Breaking it out early. '96 on the heater. Two and 2. and a miss. A 1-2-3 inning right there. Down in order go the Orioles. Logan Forsythe will lead off the bottom of the first when we come back. The 1-2-3, top of the first. Starting lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Logan Forsythe to lead off. Then Steve Pearce hits second place first. Evan Longoria third. Then Corey Dickerson, Desmond Jennings. Brad Miller hits sixth. Steven Souza Jr. in right, the seventh place hitter, in front of Kevin Kiermaier and Kurt Casale.
Well, taking the mound tonight for the Baltimore Orioles for the first time here in 2016 is going to be right-hander Kevin Gausman. He was placed on the disabled list on April the 3rd with right shoulder tendonitis. Made a few rehab starts. Finished up at Norfolk 5 2/3, 9 strikeouts in that game, and takes him out here tonight as you see his numbers from a season ago.
So it's Gausman, the young right-hander, and Logan Forsythe here in the bottom of the first inning. Our Buick GMC big matchup. Logan 4 of 5 in his career against Gausman, including 2 doubles and a home run. The pitch is outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Call 1-1. Gausman, 25-year-old right-hander. He'd been on the disabled list with a shoulder strain. Now 1-2.
And a lot of different offerings. Fastball, split, got the slider, changeup, curveball.
Chopped down to first. Handled by Davis unassisted.
And a pretty lively fastball if that gun reading was accurate at 99. Let's take a look at the Baltimore Oriole defense, see how it's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by Golden Diamond Source. In the outfield left to right, we have Joey Rickard, Adam Jones, and Mark Trumbo. Across the infield third to first, Manny Machado, J.J. Hardy, Jonathan Scope, and Chris Davis, with Matt Wieters behind the plate.
Now Steve Pearce, the former Baltimore Oriole. Pitch is up. 1 ball, no strikes. Pearce got involved in the home run hitting yesterday. It's under this one and skies it to shallow left. Hardy out from shortstop, keeping his eye on that one and waiting for it to come down. 2 up, 2 down against Gausman. We'll get Evan Longoria to the plate. Evan 6 of 18 with a home run against Gausman.
Waiting for that fastball. Yeah, that's something that we see an awful lot from this Rays lineup. You go through every metric as far as swinging the bat goes in different scenarios, and the Rays are leading the way in Major League Baseball.
High sky down the right side. Foul ball. Trumbo over there, but no chance, out of his reach and out of play. Yeah, in contrast to this time a year ago, when the Rays, the first 4 months of last year, you were wondering if they were ever going to swing at a pitch.
How about that?
And then the last 2 months, they upped it a little bit, more aggressive, and now they truly are the swinging Rays. You know, they had the swinging A's a few years ago in Oakland, a different kind of swinging. These guys really are swinging the bats. They can't wait.
I mean, the metrics that you look at the first pitch across the board, here they are. The swing and miss. They do make contact. They hit the ball hard. We saw that yesterday.
Longoria's out on strikes. Missed the slider. 3 up, 3 down. Go both clubs. On to the second, scoreless.
Chris Archer in the first inning, breaking out the changeup early and often against the Baltimore right-handed hitters, picking up a couple of strikeouts between Manny Machado and Adam Jones. And I'll tell you what, it serves 2 purposes. Number one, and excited about it nonetheless, it serves 2 purposes. It obviously recorded those outs, number one, but number 2, it puts that pitch into the mind of these Baltimore hitters, and it just gives them something else that they have to think about.
And right there to open this inning is a good first pitch, well located fastball away, actually a little bit off the plate, and that's something that Paul Nart, who is working the plate tonight, he'll go wide away for the strike, and Archer got one on Davis to start this inning. He may not give that call up in the zone at the upper reaches of the zone, but you might be able to work just off the plate.
And for me, that's an advantage to guys that can elevate, and the Rays pitching staff, they do that well, because if you can get wide, well, you can buy some of those pitches that are just off the plate, but the pitch that's up, you want them to swing at it anyway. You're thinking you're going to get a swing and a miss. You're not looking for elevated fastballs to be called strikes. You're looking for elevated fastballs to be chased. So that fact that they don't get called or may not get called by Paul Nart, really of no consequence to that.
Full count to Davis. He got him looking.
Change up again.
How about that? Well, you know, they're keyed for something else, and they're seeing that changeup early.
Yeah, they just added another layer to the scouting report here. Chris Archer, another changeup, third straight strikeout on the pitch. This one just freezes Chris Davis.
Yeah, that changes the whole dimension of his game. Shot right back over the mound. Trumbo, who's red hot, sent that one quickly back into center field. First pitch fastball, and as hot as he is, he's aboard.
He's also watching these guys get deep into counts and getting whipped by that changeup. So he says, forget it. First hard thing out over the plate, and right back up the middle, flipped Chris Archer. But what a start he's off to.
Well, a 10-game hitting streak for Trumbull. He's hitting .377 against right-handed pitching. So Archer maybe shouldn't feel so bad.
No.
Wow, what a start. You're right. Here's Matt Wieters. He fouls it. You know, the other thing, I guess in a way the Orioles have to feel good about this. You know, they're taking a lot of heat because Jake Arrieta has gone over to the Cubs.
Yeah.
And is, you know, just threw another no-hitter. So they've taken some heat for that deal. And as those trades turn out, Wieters out in front of that one, 0-2. You know, part of what they got in return was Scott Friedman and Steve Clevenger. And then they turned around a year later and sent Clevenger to Seattle and got Trumbo. So they're going, hey, we got Trumbo. And he's red hot right now, the second leading hitter in the American League.
Yeah, the only downside is he's got to keep this up for the rest of the season for it to still make any sense.
Runner at first with one out. Wieters chases the pitch up.
And that's why the fact that the top of the strike zone may be off limits as far as called strikes. It's why when you elevate, you don't care, because this is what you're expecting. This is what you want. You want to chase. They see it close to the eyes. They see the baseball big. They think that they can get there. Proven otherwise.
The hitter is J.J. Hardy. And he takes a first pitch fastball for a strike.
You know what's making the changeup so effective? Obviously, they're not looking for it, number one. But number two, how many first pitch strikes? He's been jumping out in front of these hitters.
And another strike on a fastball, 0-2.
You can see already that these Oriole hitters are uncomfortable based on what they've seen early on of Chris's mix.
Close right there with some heat. Davis started the inning looking at a changeup for a called strike. Trumbo single. Wieters chased the fastball up and cut and miss. Hardy out on strikes. 5 strikeouts through the first 2 for Archer. No score. there. Chris Archer all alone. A great start through 2 innings for Archer. 5 strikeouts. Gave up 1 hit. And Dickerson, Jennings, and Miller will bat for the Rays in the bottom of the 2nd inning against the Baltimore right-hander. Dickerson at .259 now with 5 home runs. He's in the top 10 in slugging percentage in the American League. Low liner, 1 hop. Hardy at short makes the scoop and throws out Dickerson.
Well, the Baltimore Orioles always known for their good defensive work. They do a great job of making all the plays. J.J. Hardy, nothing flashy, but he does a great job of smothering that hard line drive the other way. Watch him just kind of scoot to the side and smother it, and then come up and make the play. It's good instincts.
Desmond Jennings. That's a strike. You're talking about the Orioles defense. What they do, they catch the ball, they make the plays they're supposed to make, and that was the song that Kevin Cash was promoting coming out of spring training with the Rays. He didn't care if they made sensational plays. He wants them to make the plays they're supposed to make. Yeah, you've got a couple of great gloves at third here in Machado and Longoria. And you've got a couple other defenders on each team. Pretty good too in center field, and Kiermaier with his exploits defensively out there, and Adam Jones. But for the totality of these teams, their managers want them to make the plays that you would anticipate a major league defender making.
And the better athletes that you have out in the field, the more balls that they're able to get to, so that they're therefore going to make more plays. I mean, just because they are capable of doing so.
Broken bat, and a looper into center. Out from second base, Scope makes the catch. 2 up and 2 down. Well, tonight's Rays broadcast can make you a winner. Enter now for a chance at tonight's Rays Up to Win prize. 2 Dex Imaging Home Plate Club tickets and 2 autographed baseballs signed by Evan Longoria. Winner's name will be shown live on air in the 8th inning. Just visit RaysBaseball.com/RaysUpToWin to enter. Go online now to register. Rays Up, 2 Dex Imaging Home Plate Club tickets and 2 autographed baseballs by Evan Longoria. Brad Miller fouls it away. 2 outs, bases empty. Kevin Gausman out on the hill. He was 4-7 last year for the Orioles. 1-1. He made 17 starts, 25 overall appearances. Two and one. Count square, 2-2.
A firm fastball, 96 sitting there. We've seen the breaking ball sweeping that pitch in the 81, 83 range.
Still 2-2. That fastball there registered at 99 on the gun here at the ballpark.
Oh, he's got, you know, it's deceiving. I mean, because he's smooth, he's got a long arm action as you watch him as he comes out of the glove. But boy, does he finish strong.
$77 to $99 to cover. Kevin Gausman. And a fastball, 99, 97, then 99 as Miller fouls him away. Showalter, Orioles manager. Full count. Slider 82, 84, somewhere in that neighborhood.
It kind of rolls in there. It's not a sharp slider with late break.
Lifted into left center field. Jones on the run, he cannot get there. Extra bases for Miller, and it's second with a stand-up double. Well, Miller with an extended at-bat on the ninth pitch of the at-bat. He got off speed and comes up with a double.
You know, go back over that at bat and think about what Gausman was throwing him. He had the fastball at 96 to 99 and the breaking ball low to mid 80s. You didn't see any swings and misses. He was able to foul everything off, get a breaking ball that he could handle, and lift it with authority out into left center field. That's what's interesting about Gausman, is he's got that explosive power fastball, but it doesn't get as many swings and misses as you would think with that kind of velocity.
So the Rays have their first hit. For Miller, his fourth double, and here's Steven Souza Jr. Ground ball down to third. That's picked up by Machado, and he makes the throw. Rays with a two-base hit. They leave a man. No score through two.
A scoreless game between the Rays and the O's. Kevin Cash, after 4 starts by Chris Archer with Hank Conger behind the plate, today penciled in Kurt Casale behind the dish for Archer. Now, Cash, the former catcher, said sometimes just a change of scenery can help a pitcher get out of a little rut that Chris Archer's been in. And guys, it's worked in the past, as Kurt Casale has caught 8 of Archer's starts for a 2.29 ERA prior to tonight. Back to you.
Well, here's Alvarez shooting one down toward the left field corner. That's going to be good for 2 bases as Alvarez picks up his second double of the year. Pedro Alvarez jumping on the first pitch.
And that was a breaking ball by Chris, a slider that he was able to stay inside of. See it right here, trying to throw that strike breaking ball, stays middle, not a lot of bite on it, and Alvarez stays inside it and shoots it into the corner.
Now the number 9 hitter, Jonathan Scope. After that first pitch fastball out of play. Scope a 220 average right now. You can see Archer first time through 8 first pitch strikes.
Makes a huge difference. We've already seen that. You know, coming into this ball game, on balls that were put in play on the first pitch off Chris Archer, 4 out of 11, 3 of them were home runs. But then he would get to an 0-1 count 39 times, a 1-0 count 48 times. And that's just a percentage that's unacceptable.
Line drive to second, right at Forsythe. And Alvarez not far enough off to give Logan a chance to double him up. Yeah, he was hurt, giving up a total of 6 home runs, 3 first pitch home runs.
Yeah.
One on, one out. Now the top of the order. And that pitch is a strike call.
Okay, Dwayne, you get to do that stat. That stat is tremendous. We could have guessed. In fact, that's why we have it, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, we're just looking at Rick Odioso, who's just a magic man over here. Comes up with all kinds of these things. This one is down 1-1. 1 strikeout last year for Archer on a changeup.
He has 5 tonight. All of his changeup or all of his strikeouts here tonight have come on the changeup.
Tap foul. It's 1-2.
Except for the 95-mile-an-hour changeup that struck out Matt Wieters.
Yeah.
4 of the 5.
And that was the super change.
That was the up change.
Yeah.
No, but outside of that,
how about that though? Last year, one.
Well, listen, it was fastball slider.
Yeah.
And the slider has not been the same this year.
But the slider was that good last year.
Yeah.
That's what that tells you.
Yeah. You could tell him it was coming. They knew it was coming. I mean, he's still, you know, coming into today. Today's a little bit different, but he was been a guy that, you know, lefties or righties, 2 strikes, 60% sliders.
Yeah.
So you have a pretty good idea. Here it comes, and there was nothing that you could do about it. Now he's finding a way to mix in that changeup, and
well, that slider was like a fastball that stayed true and then had late break.
yeah, it was like an 88 to 90 mile an hour curveball.
Yeah.
It had that kind of depth, and the break was so late that hitters just could not lay off of it. I mean, it's in the zone for so long. You've got to commit, and then it's just not there anymore.
2-2 to Rickard up here with a man at second and 1 out. And he chases this one. That's strikeout number 6.
And that's still not the A+ slider. Joey Rickard got a little bit long with his swing. This ball doesn't quite have the same bite. You can see him trying to reach out there. Not a lot of depth to that pitch, but it picked up the strikeout.
Well, here's a difference. If you introduce the change, maybe you get away with that slider. You know, with the changeup that he's thrown today. Now you've got more things in play.
He basically started all of last year like a guy coming out of the bullpen. Fastball slider. I guarantee you that teams last year disregarded the changeup. Why would you look for a changeup off of Archer?
We got 1 strikeout on it all year, so you go, forget that.
That's right. And now, at least early in this ball game, he's making it part of the game plan.
Down to third base. Evan Longoria takes care of that. Machado is 0 for 2 in the 3rd out in the 3rd. No score. trucks, guts, glory, Ram. By Bright House Networks. Visit brighthouse.com. By your local Toyota dealers. And by Furman, the Bay Area's first name in Chevrolet. A little light rainfall going on outside. Just a little bit. Here, comfortable at the Trop. Kevin Kiermaier leading off the bottom of the third, takes the pitch low. Kiermaier hitting .250, and he has that on base percentage up to .345. 1-1, .345 on base. Boy, that'd be something for him.
You think about the amount of pressure that he adds to a defense, to a pitcher. You got to worry about him stealing. You know, he's working hard at that, become a more accomplished base stealer. He has the raw speed for it. Now it comes down to technique and instincts and jumps. First to third. Think of the possibilities. How many times he's going to do that?
He's out on a couple fastballs here.
Well, that's the way you'll get some swings and misses with the high velocity fastball, like the last two that he threw to Kiermaier with elevation. You don't see Gausman too many times working up in the zone, but he does there with good effectiveness.
Casale fouls one back. You know, Gausman, when you look at his numbers last year, 103 strikeouts and just over 112 innings. So close to a strikeout per inning. And that's obviously a good ratio. First time he's really done that in his career. And when you think of what we've seen tonight, 98, 99, you think it might be more than a strikeout per inning.
Well, the raw numbers are there. The breaking ball we've seen, though, it's, you know, it's not a high octane slider. It's more of, it has a more slurvy look to it, low to mid 80s, not as sharp as some other ones you'll see.
This one is going to be just foul. That one over Gabe Morales, the third base umpire, turned around and had a perfect view. And there was that slider. So a 2-ball, 2-strike count on Casale. Kiermaier struck out swinging on a fastball. Kurt Casale hitting next, and Logan Forsythe to follow him. Did he go? Yes, he did. Ron Culpa down at first base, and the gun here in the ballpark had 100 miles an hour on this pitch.
Yeah, you got to get it started early. That's the one thing that velocity does. We saw him beat Kiermaier above the zone, Casale down below. That's a close call that goes against the Rays catcher.
There's Logan Forsythe. One 1-0. Logan 0 for 1 on a ground ball out to Chris Davis down at first. Gausman originally drafted out of high school by the Dodgers and decided not to sign, went to LSU instead. So 1-1 count. Close pitch right there. 2-1. balls, 2 strikes. Fastball at 98. Grossman out of Colorado and eventually signed by the Orioles. And it's been one thing or another with Grossman trying to get regular big league time. He strikes out Forsythe, overpowered him in. Strikes out the side. We're scoreless through 3. Toyota inside look of hard throwing right-handers. Most strikeouts in the first 100 career games. Look at Hugh Darvish at 83 games with 680. Then Kluber, Scott Kazmar, the former Ray, Chris Archer there, King Felix, and the former Ray David Price. Cut and a miss by Adam Jones. A big swing on that first pitch. Fell back. Well, Archer went 2-2 with Jones in the first. Struck him out swinging on a changeup. He's 0-2 with him right now.
And can do about whatever he wants. Climb the ladder with the fastball, go back to the changeup.
Ball, 2 strikes. Toward the hole and grabbed by Longoria. What a play. He does it almost routinely. Not an easy play. That ball was headed into left field. And he made that grab, reaching far to his left.
Well, look at that. I mean, right to the tip of the glove. Evan Longoria, as a third baseman, you know, there's not a whole lot of time down at that position for range, but he certainly showed it on that play right there. So good going to his backhand side, forehand side. Charge the ball with the glove, with the bare hand, can make all the plays and then some.
Chris Davis takes a big cut, fouls it back. Well, some good defense over there at third base. Now Longoria is over there on the left side by himself with the shift on.
That's how good he is. You just take care of that side.
Headed out of play, 0-2.
doesn't look like baseball. not what you're used to. Actually, more used to it now. That's your defensive setup.
It's a ball and 2 strikes. Strike 3 call. Strikeout number 7 for Archer.
Chris Davis has punched out twice on off-speed pitches that have been right out over the plate. First one was a changeup. Here comes a slider. Right there.
I'll tell you, to see all the other pitches certainly helps that slider.
Well, I mean, we've seen the slider better. We've seen it with more break, with more depth. But you're right, when you're having to cover 95, 96, both sides, up and down, oh, and the changeup too, you know, buys you a little margin for error.
Ball expands and misses. Quick on that one. 96, 97. A 1-2 count on Trumbo, a red hot hitter. Lifts it into center. Kiermaier waiting for this one to come down. He's got it. 1, 2, 3. Go the Orioles. No score through 3.5. Fourth coming at the Trop, and here's your chance to get a steal. Today's steal of the day features outfield tickets for tomorrow or Wednesday's games versus the Orioles for just $10. That's almost half the price. Available tonight only. Visit raysbaseball.com/steal or call 888-FAN-RAYS for more information on the steal of the day. Kevin Gausman, the 25-year-old right-hander, will face Steve Pearce. This pitch is a strike, and the Orioles have the shift on for Pearce, leaving Davis alone on the right side. There's that shift. Strike on the outside corner. We're talking about that on the road trip about How prolific the shift has become, and over the last few years, the Rays and the Astros battling over who employed the most shifts. You know, the Orioles do that, and you have to give them credit. They were not in the top 5 in total number of shifts. In fact, they were 6th, but they weren't in the top 5. But they saved more runs, according to the statistical analyst. They saved more runs than any other team using the shift. And they were 6th in the majors doing that. Rays were 2nd and Houston 3rd. But that's pretty good efficiency, I guess, when it comes to the shift out of the Orioles' deployment of that.
Well, you never really heard the phrase, I mean, prior to a couple of years ago, at least not spoken openly, run prevention. Just as important. If I save a run, it's like scoring a run. And that's the mindset.
Chopper foul. See, in theory, you could have a scoreless game and declare a winner in negative numbers.
Yeah, like
one team saved 1 run and the other team saved 2 runs. Well, the team that saved 2 runs won that scoreless game.
Right. It's just like with ERA and then FIP. I saw the other day that Dellin Betances has what his ERA should be is negative 1 point something.
Not only should he not have an earned run average,
right,
it should be in negative numbers.
When he comes into the game, they should take a run away from you. I mean, really, that's a true stat.
It really is a game of numbers.
It gets
or non-numbers. Apparently,
it gets goofy, right?
Yeah. This one is fouled out of play. Speaking of negative numbers, we don't want to get too crazy about this, but I could never figure out how 2 negatives made a positive, or if you multiplied a negative by another negative, something weird happened.
Yeah,
I could never quite handle that. That's probably why we're both doing what we're doing.
There were no negatives in baseball.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Yeah, ground ball up the middle. There's a base hit by Gossman, and just out of the reach of Scope. So Pierce with the leadoff single. The Rays get their second base runner and put the leadoff man on for the first time.
Yeah, and the way that these pitchers are throwing the ball here tonight, that could be huge. Just reaching out, going right back up the middle. Jonathan Scope with a nice effort to try to get there. Unable to do so, and the Rays are in business.
You know, the more you see Pierce, the Rays have been impressed by him for a long time, but the more you see him, the more you like him about the things he can do. And there's a base hit to lead off the inning, but he play all over the place. Made a nice play at second the other day on the road. Here's Evan Longoria. Pitch covered up by Wieters. And I guess one of the highest compliments a person can have is if you leave somewhere and the people back there still say great things about you, and that's what happens with Steve Pierce. You talk to the Orioles, there's nothing but good things that they say about this guy.
Listen, having played for Buck Showalter, I know the kind of players that he wants to be, around, wants to have on his team, and Steve Pierce fits the bill as well as any player that you could possibly present to Buck Showalter. Prepared, low maintenance, great effort, versatile, and he grows on you. Like you said, the more that you watch him and what he's capable of doing, the way that he goes about his business, you love it.
1-1 now to Evan Longoria. He's out on strikes on that 1-2 pitch. Well, 1 on, 1 out. Let's check in with Emily.
Dwayne, the Rays knew that they were getting a big bat in Corey Dickerson, and so far he's not only meeting expectations but possibly exceeding them. Currently he's tied with Steven Souza Jr. with 5 home runs, and when I was talking to Souza before the game, he said it's not only impressive but exciting and fun to watch Dickerson because he doesn't get cheated, which may explain why 10 of his 15 hits have gone for extra bases. Dwayne, you also have to tip your hat because he's adjusting to the new DH role and seeing AL pitching.
Well, here he is, the DH tonight. And that's easier for some players than others. Takes a strike. And we talked about this a little bit on the road trip with Corey Dickerson. He's in his own way a high energy guy. He loves to hit. And as we've heard, he'd prefer to play somewhere in the outfield. Not that he's making an issue of DHing. He's just trying to adjust to it. And a guy who's involved that much, it's a little greater adjustment.
Well, and when you go out in the field, it gives you time to leave your at bat behind. You know, I think there would be a tendency, especially for a young DH, to overanalyze every at bat because that's all you're doing. Well, a true lift and separate swing is what Corey Dickerson gives you. That's some pretty good pop too.
Among the top 10 in slugging percentage starting play tonight. One ball, 2 strikes. Rays had Brad Miller at second with 2 outs in the second. They have Pierce at first, 1 away in the 4th. That's it so far. And the pitch up, Dickerson could not lay off at 98 and is out on strikes.
Well, as this game has moved on, Gau's been getting some swings and misses with the fastball. The 2 times he's gotten the true swing and a miss has been elevated. And that's where you can get some guys well chronicled how that ball up in the zone is so enticing. He's also had a couple of check swings. You think about the Forsythe strikeout and also Kurt Casale. But getting the big swing and a miss on the fastball up in the zone.
Well, he broke Desmond Jennings' bat in the 2nd inning. Desmond pops it up. Foul ball. Davis over to the dugout, but it's going to be out of play. Desmond broke his bat. Did that little popper handled by Scope, the second baseman. Too low, and it's 1-1. Close right there, very close. 2-1. Chop to the left side. Machado's got it. Throw to first in time. Rays leave a man, and we're headed into the 5th inning. No score from the Trop. Tropicana Field. Tonight's Geico great moment was on this day in 1995. The MLB players strike came to a close. The 257-day strike ended as the Dodgers beat the Marlins 8-7. Work stoppage caused the cancellation, as you recall, of the World Series and delayed the opening of the regular season. Matt Wieters leads it off in the 5th and takes the ball. Now 2-0. Archer behind in the count, has not had that situation very often tonight. And he goes 3-0 to Wieters. It's only the second 3-ball count he's had tonight. Went 3-2 to Davis, got him in the 2nd. And now Wieters takes a strike. 3-1. Hardy next, and then Alvarez. That will take the count full. So he's come back from that 3-0 count. Tapper rolling. That's a foul ball. See Archer pick it up, and just in case still tried to make the play, but it was just foul.
And that's the way to do it. I mean, the umpire will let you know, don't assume anything, get over there and try to make a play. That ball rolling right up the line, now scooped, maybe take a chance, miss him there, then try to flip it to first. That didn't go well either. At least they tried.
Yeah. Yeah. So another 3-2 pitch. And that's going to be lined and caught by Forsythe. The defensive alignment certainly helped right there. Nice comeback by Archer to get Wieters.
Yeah, and you know, that's been the exception rather than the rule. Tonight it's been about pitching out in front. When he's been able to do that, he's been able to extend the zone, whether it be with the fastball up or with the changeups. And we just previously saw there, he gets Rickard on a slider. But Chris Archer kind of, you want to go crazy here and say reinventing himself. But certainly for this game, the way that he brought the changeup out so aggressively early, that's different than anything we've seen from him really ever. You go back to that stat, 1 strikeout on a changeup a season ago. He had 4 out of his first 5 strikeouts tonight were on changeups.
60 pitches right now, 7 strikeouts. And a strike to Hardy after that first pitch was way up. 1-1. Foul ball straight back. Now 1-2. Rays have picked up 2 hits. The Orioles have picked up 2 hits. Popped up. Foul ball, playable. That's Pierce, 2 gone. Hardy fouls to first. Base is empty for Pedro Alvarez. Pedro Alvarez takes it high. Talking about the changeup strikeout, the intrepid Todd Callis did some extensive work to pinpoint that very out. The only one. Oh, there's a shot to right. Souza Jr. will have to play this one off the wall. Alvarez heads for second. They're going to be close. Oh, he's safe. Pedro Alvarez doubles off the top of the wall and right. Kevin Cass says, hang on a moment. He'd like to get the word from the video room on that one.
Well, it was hit so hard and got off the wall so quickly it gave Souza Jr. a chance. Watch this ball come right off the top of the wall, turn and throw, and you've got a shot. See how you keep that tag applied now, because we know how many times have we seen that where a guy will pop up off the bag, however subtle. Looked like he stayed on there. You keep that tag applied in case there's any separation of foot from bag. They will get you.
So it's a double for Alvarez. A 2-out double, and now Jonathan Scope becomes the hitter. Alvarez had come into this game 0 for 14 and has a single and a double tonight. Shot foul, 0-2. Todd found that that strikeout on a changeup last year for Archer was in Seattle on May the 27th. In the 4th inning, he got Seth Smith on a call third strike on the changeup, 2-2. I mean, this is detail. Archer was hooked up against King Felix. Swing and a miss. He gets Scope to chase. So another strikeout for Archer. He has 8 tonight, including this one. He's been very good. We're through 4.5. The Rays nothing and Baltimore nothing. Gossman hooked up in this one. Scoreless moving into the bottom of the 5th inning. The Rays will send Brad Miller up there. Steven Souza Jr. and Kevin Kiermaier will follow. It's a strike. Miller doubled in the 2nd inning. It was his 4th career at bat against This right-hander, he's 1 for 4 against him now. Out of play. Foul ball, 2 strikes. One and 1. Or 1 and 2, I beg your pardon. Oh, a strike on the inside corner, says Paul Nart. That's the first out. Got him looking in.
Yeah, meant to be away. Look how he yanks that fastball across the plate, but Paul Nart has a great view of it as it ends up middle in.
Steven Souza Jr. Ooh, look out. That ball hit Kiermaier, who is on deck. And pops right back up, says he's okay, but boy, that's a scary situation as well. Wow. I'll tell you, that could be unsettling. 0-2. Well, there's the angle. Boy, that's a severe angle. One ball, 2 strikes. Yeah, you better give Arestas a helmet. Keep him safe. Apparently the pitch hit the knob of the bat and deflected and got Kiermaier, but nothing serious. Full count. We haven't had many of those from either pitcher. That's only the second one from Gausman tonight. Close. Gausman thought he had that one, and it goes as ball 4.
Well, Fox Tracks liked it. Paul Nart did not, and still surprised that Steven Souza Jr. didn't swing at this pitch. It was presented well, broke it right to the outside corner. That's a tough pitch to not get and a tough pitch to lay off of.
Yeah, that's a tough pitch. And that's the first walk of the game. Souza's aboard with Kevin Kiermaier now at the plate. Takes a strike. Kiermaier overpowered in on a couple fastballs the first time around. Foul back. 0-2. Kurt Casale on deck. Upstairs, Wieters with a peek down toward first. Souza Jr. back in there.
Gausman quick to the plate. 5 stolen base attempts him a year ago in 112 1/3 innings, 3 successful. Varies his times to the plate. and gets the ball there quickly. Tough to run on.
Count goes to 2-2. Popper short center, hang time though for Jones. 2 gone. So 2 outs with Souza Jr. at first and Kurt Casale coming to the plate. Casale out on strikes his first time, and during that at bat, Gausman hit 100 miles per hour. Gausman, a little different look out there on the mound from the previous times the Rays have seen him. He's always had some substantial eyewear on, but he had LASIK over the off season and going without glasses now. Back in at first is Souza Jr. Can always be disconcerting to see a guy who can throw 100 miles per hour out there with big glasses on.
Wild thing.
Yeah.
You know, and then you hold the glove up close to the face and you're squinting. You got to do the squint. You got to sell it.
Yep. Eric Wan, I'll take a look at him last year with his eyewear, and when he came up the year before that, he had the heavy black rim glasses.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, you maybe even tape in the middle.
One strike to count to Casale. 1-1 now. Years and years ago, the Yankees had Ryan Duran, a big right-hander, threw hard, big glasses, thick. And the Pirates had a left-hander, Bob Veal, big, tall, strong guy, threw hard, big glasses. One is popped up. Foul ball, and that ball is not playable. Boy, you had a gathering of Orioles in front of the Rays dugout. Davis down from first. Gausman hustling his way off the mound, and Wieters from behind the plate and out of the reach of all 3 of them. Three hits for Baltimore, 2 hits for the Rays. Rays have drawn the only walk of the game. Souza Jr.'s at first on that base on balls. Casale waiting on the big right-hander. Upstairs. Gausman's been up and down with the Orioles between their AAA club and the major leagues. You see top of the orders on deck. He's had some injury situations. He's been in the rotation and out of the bullpen and back. Makes it difficult for a guy to really get his feet under his ground when you're moving around as much from roll to roll and level to level. Oh, another close pitch. Gausman wasn't happy about the pitch that Souza Jr. walked on, and that pitch at 98 pretty close as well. Look at this.
Yeah, you start to wonder where can I go? Okay, that's down. The previous pitch is up. The slider on the corner doesn't work.
base hit toward the corner. Sousa's got speed. They're going to wave him around. And the throw to the plate's not going to be in time. Ball loose, down to second goes Casale, and the Rays take a 1-0 lead. And Rays using Sousa Jr.'s speed.
And they did that because of the count. 2 outs, full count. Sousa Jr. with a full head of steam as that ball was hit. Without that, he probably is not going to score. But because that's the big fear when you get to a full count situation, he is off and running at contact. There he goes. He's got a jump. That little jump would make the difference.
A double for Casale, his second, his 4th run batted in. Sousa Jr. declaring himself safe at the plate, and safe he was. 1-0 Rays. So a big hit on the line drive double for Curt Casale. Now Logan Forsythe up here to battle. He has a man in scoring position with 2 gone. And he takes ball 1. Backhanded pick right there by Wieters. 2-0 the count on Logan Forsythe. Steve Pearce on deck. Look out, that pitch up and in, and that just barely got Forsythe. Wow, that was scary as well.
Had a little run to it. This fastball, it just kind of tracks up and in. Look at it, just, I mean, grazed that shoulder of Logan Forsythe. Boy, anything up around the shoulder, the head, scary stuff.
So down to first goes Forsythe. That can be disconcerting. Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, is out. Gossman in his rehab assignments, last pitch on the 20th. Pitched 5 2/3 in his final rehab appearance. That was at AAA. He's 2 outs into the 5th inning here. He's made 23 pitches in this inning. He made 20 in the 4th. And here's Steve Pearce. 2 men on, 2 men out, a run home. And a foul ball on that fastball up. Pearce took a rip.
Well, sensing that there's a little wobbling of the tires here on Kevin Gausman, and the Rays looking to capitalize with 2 outs. A big swing by Pearce. It's been a hit by pitch, a walk, and then of course the full count double by Casale. That's the way this game is set up. There's been very little margin for error.
2 strikes. Not a lot of offense. A run, 3 hits for the Rays. No runs, 3 hits for Baltimore. into the dirt and blocked by Wieters. Pierce got down in the count in the 4th inning. He was down 1-2 and had a prolonged at bat. Ran it to 8 pitches and then came up with a single. He's down 1-2 right now. Into the dirt and stopped again by Wieters. A 2-2 count.
Was that split we've seen? You know, something you don't often see with Gausman. He throws like a 3-finger prong changeup and then the split on top of it. Usually it's one or the other.
That takes the count full. 3-2.
Boy, forcing him to work very, very hard in this inning. A lot of deep counts. That's going to get some action going in that Oriole bullpen. And another full count with 1st and 2nd. These runners will be in motion.
Brian Mattis, the lefty, up in the bullpen. Sally off 2nd, Forsythe off 1st. There they go. Pitch made. Ball 4, and it bounds away over to 3rd. Casale, but he'll hang on there as Wieters runs it down. Rays are going to have the bases loaded on that walk to Pierce with Longoria due up.
Well, jumped out ahead, and then some pitches that were really not competitive. That ball looking out of the hand was a below the knees. So an easy take for Pierce. That ball gets away. Casale thought about it. You don't want to run into any out there at home plate with this situation. Bases juice and this guy at the plate.
Devin 0 for 2 tonight. Coming in 6 of 18 with a home run off the right-hander Gausman. Upstairs. Don't want to help him out here. Lifted into center, right center. Trumbo coming over to make the grab. And the Rays settled for 1 run. They lead the bases loaded. Souza Jr.'s 1-out walk eventually turned into a 2-out run. 1-0 Tampa Bay. Opening game of the series between the Rays and the Orioles. Chris Archer out to try to turn things around and has pitched 5 shutout innings of 3-hit baseball. Striking out 8, has not walked anybody.
Well, he's been pitching from out in front, and the Rays able to finally give him a run. Gausman's been pretty good himself. Just 3 hits in the 5 innings, but that 1 earned run, and it was self-inflicted because it was a walk to Souza Jr., a full count to Casale. Steven is off and running, and Casale's able to get the ball into the corner, and right there is the difference in the game.
On to the 6th, top of the order for Baltimore. First pitch is a strike. Joey Rickard up there, 0 for 2. And the bottom of the 5th was a 32-pitch inning for Gausman. Made over 50 pitches in the last 2 innings. And that inning ended with Ryan Matters in the bullpen. Into right center field. Long run for Kiermaier, and he's there, hauling it in over the shoulder on the warning track in right center field. Nice running grab by Kevin Kiermaier.
You cannot have this much hang time and expect to elude Kevin Kiermaier, who is already shading that way. Gets on his horse and runs that ball down. Just up there too long.
So the leadoff man retired for the 5th time tonight in 6 innings. Manny Machado fouls it back. Machado came into the game hitting over 420 against right-handed pitching, and last year actually hit better against right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching. But this is quite a run he has going right now. 0 for 2 in this game, and that's a close pitch. Fastball, 1-1. Too wide, that second pitch. Upstairs, 2-1. Popped up foul, comes back and pulls the count even as that ball falls out of play. Machado coming into the game 9 of 22 in his career against Archer with a home run. And he lays off the slider. The count is full. Line drive into left. Well, that ball started to take off on Jennings, and he makes the catch. You could see Desmond start to come in on that ball and realize that it was getting a life of its own out there.
Well, here's that reaction. That ball was a slider that stayed out over the plate, and Machado just drilled it, and it wasn't coming down. I mean, you're expecting those things to come down at some point, and that one just continued to carry.
So Jennings out there smiling, saying that had a little jet propulsion on it. Now Adam Jones.
The booster rocket dropped off just behind shortstop. Brad Miller's got it in his pocket.
It must have. That's exactly what that was like. You'll see those balls sometimes hit so hard that strange things happen out there. The base hit into center field. Couple hops. Jones is aboard. So a 2-out single.
First baseman, number 19, Chris Davis.
So Archer, 2 outs into the 6th inning. He worked 5 1/3 against Cleveland. Gave up 3 runs, 2 earned in that one. So this is his longest outing of the year in terms of innings. Chris Davis looks at a strike. Davis called out on strikes on a changeup in the second. Caught looking on a slider in the fourth. Jones at first. Davis now 5 out of 16 with a couple of home runs in his career against Archer. And with that shift, he takes that pitch. 1-1.
After squaring around, and with Chris Davis, what you're worried about with him is the long ball, the damage, the extra base hit. If he wants to bunt over there, well, you would invite that. Go right ahead.
And he fouls this one. He was all loaded up and then out in front.
He's seen a number of off-speed pitches from Archer here tonight. Number of change-ups, some sliders. Almost using that fastball as a show pitch. I'll show it to you. I'll get you thinking about it, but I want to get you out with the soft stuff. Unless he tries to elevate right here.
He does. Upstairs, way up there. It's 2-2. And he got him. Davis out on strikes. 2-2 slider down and in. 9th strikeout of the night. 1-0 Rays. Baseball on Fox Sports Sun is brought to you by Ram Trucks. Guts Glory Ram. By Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Southern Chevy dealers. Rays opening their homestand against the Baltimore Orioles. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Kevin Gausman finished for the night. 5 innings of work. The line on him, just over 90 pitches. A run on 3 hits in 5 innings, and he gives way to Brian Mattis, the lefty, facing Corey Dickerson.
He really did a nice job here tonight. You know, coming off the disabled list first start on the road, handled himself quite well. The problem is his offense has not been able to do anything off of Chris Archer, so he leaves this ball game trailing.
One and one. Yeah, he made 32 pitches in the fifth, and both the walks and the hit batter came in that inning. And then the Casale double got the run in. So Dickerson leads off for the Rays, facing the lefty. Two and one the count. Three balls and a strike. Dickerson finds the count in his favor against this left-hander.
He's now stood up there and watched 4 pitches. He's going to swing. He's dying to swing.
Oh, he takes that one. How about that? That's showing great discipline in that DH role.
You know what?
That had more to do with the DH role than the count as to what he wants to do up there.
No, this has to do with a bet in the Rays dugout. I'll bet you can't go up there and look at 5 straight pitches. I would have bet it.
Oh man. Yeah, here's a guy who doesn't get cheated up there.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, and he draws the walk. He flips the bat. Look at that, fellas.
Make it 6.
How about that? A walk after getting behind. He draws the walk. Leadoff man aboard for the Rays. Only the second time that's happened tonight. Here's Desmond. Jennings 0 for 2. This is the fastball, strike 1. The lefty out there. Jennings facing Mattis. Tim Beckham has already moved into the on-deck circle. The count is 0-2. Beckham. Soft liner, caught by Scope, then the throw to first. Back in there is Dickerson. Davis reaching up with that mitt.
A little soft serve. It's a tough position to be in if you're Dickerson. You've got to be close, but be ready to go if that ball is able to get away from Scope. Get over his head. Tough read.
The pinch hitter presented by Pinch-A-Penny. Tim Beckham hitting in the place of Miller. The ball, no strikes. Beckham with 1 at bat. He's 0 for 1 against Mattis. Ahead in the count, 2-0. The Orioles get some action in the bullpen. Vance Worley, the right-hander, is throwing. Yeah, he took Gossman's glasses and painted them orange. Into center field. Jones drifting back is there. 2 gone on that liner. 2 outs with a man at first. Get in on the action with exclusive on-field seating right in the Papa John's bullpen box. Host your group of 50 to 85 in this private party area and make long-lasting memories. To reserve the Papa John's bullpen box, call 888-FAN-RAYS or email groupsales@raysbaseball.com. Limited dates remain. You see right there behind the bullpen mound where the Rays have some action. Eddie Romero, the lefty. Erasmo Ramirez, the right-hander, loosening. And Souza Jr. lining the first pitch out of the reach of Hardy. Line drive base hit. Souza's aboard.
He just hit too hard. J.J. Hardy making a bid to try to get that, but it was by him before he could get to the spot. We saw Souza Jr. the way that the ball can jump off his bat in yesterday's ball game with the home runs that were blistered, both of them. And this one, just too much heat on it.
Second hit for Souza Jr. against Mattis. He's 2 for 2 against him. And now the lefty-lefty matchup. Kevin Kiermaier 1 out of 5 in his career against Mattis. Up to Kiermaier. Little communication now going on between Mattis and Wieters. Worley continues to throw in the bullpen. A big swing and a miss by Kiermaier.
He went after that one with some vigor. Fastball just up above the swing. We've seen the Oriole pitchers attacking Kevin in that area. Up and in. Take.
And a nice take. 2-1. Two men on with 2 men out. And a 3-ball 1-strike count now on Kevin Kiermaier. Kurt Casale on deck. He's the difference in this game right now. Double home, the only run of this game in the 5th. And ball 4. Bases are loaded. They will be loaded for Casale, and that's going to be all for Mattis. Buck Showalter popping out of the dugout. Back with a new pitcher in a moment. by Ram Trucks. Guts Glory Ram. By Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Vance Worley on to face Kurt Casale, against whom he was 1 for 2 in Baltimore in the start Worley made against the Rays. First pitch misses, a ball and no strikes. One. Casale singled and grounded out in the 2 at-bats he had against Worley earlier this month in Baltimore. Those are the only 2 at-bats he's had against him. And a line drive single into left. Ooh, and he is hit by that pitch. Just brushed him, and that's going to force home a run. So Dickerson, who opened this inning with a walk, and let's not forget that. Dickerson opened the inning drawing a walk. Now he scores as Casale is hit by that pitch.
Boy, over the last couple of innings here, you've got, let's see, 2 walks and a hit by pitch in the 5th. Another couple of walks and a hit by pitch here in the 6th. This Baltimore pitching staff imploding on itself here as this game moves along. And I don't know what in the world they're trying to do with Kurt Casale. A couple of front door breaking balls and then a fastball up and in that situation. That's what you get.
Forsythe takes the pitch low and away. Rays in the last inning and 2/3 have had 8 base runners and 2 hits. One and one to count.
Well, at least the Rays showed enough patience to take those walks. You know, the hit by pitch, you know, you're trying to get out of the way and weren't able to, but
ground ball headed towards short. Hardy with the pickup, and the throw to first gets Forsythe. Rays add a run. We're through 6, 2-0 Tampa Bay. Moving into the 7th inning, MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service that delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Tim Beckham in the game at shortstop after pinch hitting for Miller. We're headed into the 7th inning. Rays holding a 2-0 lead. 84 pitches for Archer through the first 6. Mark Trumbo takes slider wide. 1 ball, no strikes. It's a strike. 1-1. Found that corner that time. That's a perfect pitch right there.
Especially being behind in the count, get back to even.
This one foul straight back. 1-2.
3 straight off speed pitches, a couple of sliders down and away, a changeup right there. Think about that shoulder high heater right here.
Almost singled in the second to extend his hitting streak to 10. He's a hot hitter. And he strikes him out. Came back with a slider and got him to miss it. 10 strikeouts now for Archer.
Well, effective. That slider, it almost looked like a cutter. Look at this ball starts up and stays up. It's a slider that didn't slide, but it got a strikeout.
Number 10 on the night. Wieters strokes it into center field. Kiermaier over to cut it off.
Shortstop, number 2.
So the first hit of the ball game for Matt Wieters. We'll see J.J. Hardy now. Hardy struck out his first time, and boy, that pitch just a little low, I guess. Starts him with a fastball and just missed.
There you go.
1-1. Fastball to pull the count there. Foul, out of play. 1-2. Well, 10 strikeouts tonight. We have, I think, 1 on a fastball. I think that's it.
That's about right. The Wieters.
Yep. Had the change up in play early. Still gone to the slider, and that's been in the mix. And the change up has been a big pitch for him. Down to first. Out at second. And safe at first. Archer cuts it off. There was a little hesitation from the outset. They get the lead man Wieters at second. So Hardy will reach on what turns out to be a fielder's choice.
And you know what's interesting is on these types of plays, you're thinking about Tim Beckham, the shortstop, is going to be making that grab, but it's Logan Forsythe who covers. Everything a little out of whack here. Logan coming over, making that throw, and then Chris Archer. You got 2 bodies over there. You're trying to avoid the runner, make the throw. Wrong guy.
Well, that's going to be it for Archer. He departs and gets a good hand. Up 2-0.
Toyota keys to success for Chris Archer tonight, and that was early involvement of the changeup. 4 of his first 5 strikeouts, all early in the ball game, came on that pitch. He really sent a message by introducing it early, and then that allowed him to go back to the more traditional fastball slider as the game moved on, put that pitch in the mind of these hitters, and had a very good outing here tonight.
Eddie Romero in the game now, replacing Archer. His first pitch is a ball a little high. Pedro Alvarez, who is 2 for 2 tonight. He pops it up. That's a major league pop-up. Pierce in from first is there and makes the catch to retire the side. 6 2/3 scoreless for Archer. Romero got the final out. 2-0 Rays. Ball game. Rays lead moving into the bottom of the 7th inning. Chris Archer, for the 14th time in his career, has put together at least a 10 strikeout night. And as we go to the bottom of the 7th, Steve Pierce takes a strike to lead it off.
Boy, did he need an outing like that or what? Fantastic.
1-1. He was met in the dugout by his teammates, and especially after Romero got the pop-up to retire Alvarez. Some supportive teammates. 1-2 the count here to Pierce.
Well, they understand what he's been going through. You know, the ace of the staff, opening day starter, has not gotten off to the start that he would have wanted this season.
Down to Hardy at short. Pierce is the first out in the home half of the 7th.
So you know those guys are pulling for him harder than anybody.
Yep.
And so to have a night where he went out, he changed things up a little bit early with that changeup being introduced early and often. And you could really see it kind of throw this Baltimore lineup off. All of a sudden they're, well, wait a minute, this is not at all what we prepared for, and just kind of caught in between the entire ball game.
1-0 to Evan Longoria.
And that'll be fun to watch going forward if that becomes, you know, something that Chris does a little bit more of with that changeup, incorporates it.
Well, it certainly gives them something else to think about, and it gives him a little wiggle room.
Yes. Yes, it does.
A ball, 2 strikes to Evan. Vance Worley, the third pitcher. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 5 innings for Kevin Gossman tonight. A run on him, 2/3 against Mattis, and 1 run off him. That's a soft liner served the other way. Longoria has a base hit. With a 2-2 count, he takes that one into right center.
Well, down, and that may have been even off the plate, down and away, and Evan just going out there. Watch him follow it down and just lengthen the swing. Find some turf on the right side.
And Corey Dickerson, who opened the 6th inning with a walk, no more for those extra base hits, but that leadoff walk was converted into a run. Foul ball, strike 1. Dickerson connecting for a home run off Worley, 2 for 2 against him. One ball, 1 strike. Ryan Webb moving around down in the bullpen. A ground ball to second. Scope out at second, back at first, and out there. 4-6-3 on the double play. So we're through 7. On to the 8th inning, and the Rays lead 2-0. The 8th, and here's what's coming up tomorrow night on Rays Live. The pregame show is presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Orestes will break down the big bat of Chris Davis. Maybe he could break all of his bats and stop him that way. Jake Odorizzi will be on the hill for the Rays, and we'll hear from him as well. All on Rays Live, the pregame show. Erasmo Ramirez, the new Rays pitcher. Romero got the final out in the 7th and gives way to Ramirez. Jonathan Scope leads off. He fouls the first pitch away. That one in on him.
You name the role, Erasmo can fill it, and we're seeing it. Just a few weeks into the season, and we've seen him in just about any role you can have as a pitcher.
0-2. Xavier Cedeno's up in the bullpen. And a cut and a miss. He had him out in front. Boy, nice job on that. 3 pitches, and he sold that changeup well.
He has a deluxe changeup, and he just doesn't waste a whole lot of time. Good finish on that pitch. Look how far out in front Scope is.
Joey Rickard 0 for 3 tonight. Oh, he was going to bunt that one and had to duck it instead.
I mean, that was right over the top of his head. As he turned to square, this ball goes right over his head. Wow.
He shortens again, and that's a strike. Two and one. There's a bunt, foul. And I think Casale thinks he might have made contact in fair territory and is asking the plate umpire, Paul Nart, to maybe get a little help on that.
Yeah, why not? That was close.
Well, give it a shot. I mean, if that ball was out in front of the plate, that's one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you know, Casale's popping up quick, knowing that that ball was bounced straight down.
Foul ball down toward the bullpen, so the count is 2-2. Well, heads up there by Casale. Trying to draw that to the attention of the plate umpire, Paul Nart. Manny Machado on deck. Down to short for Beckham. Will be out number 2. Strikeout and a ground out. 2 up, 2 down. Boston playing in Atlanta tonight. That ball game moves to the bottom of the 7th inning. Jackie Bradley Jr. hit his first home run at the top of the inning to give Boston a 1-0 lead. The Braves are hitting now in the bottom. Machado chops it to the right side. Forsythe. Strikeout and 2 ground outs. 1, 2, 3. Go the Orioles. Braves lead 2-0. Both runs batted in tonight. Well, doing a great job behind the plate. The Rays lead 2-0. Rays Live, the post game comes your way. Chris Archer will, of course, be highlighted for his effort. Desmond Jennings rolls into shortstop, and he is the first out in the 8th inning. All of that coming up immediately following our coverage. Emily will be in the clubhouse. Todd DeRestis running the show. The post-game show immediately following this game, presented by Checkers. Here's Tim Beckham. Strike one. Beckham pinch hit, line to center in the 6th inning. Oh, 2. Worley, the right-hander, got a double play ball in the 7th after allowing a base hit to Longoria. Got the final out in the 6th after hitting Casale with a pitch to force in a run, and there's strike 3 call. So 2 gone here in the 8th inning. Chris Archer with an excellent outing here tonight. Cricket Wireless, something to smile about, and Chris Archer can smile about this line and this effort tonight.
His outing was fantastic, and you go back to those first couple of innings where he introduced that changeup early and often. And I'll tell you, that made a big difference. As the game went on, he was pretty excited about that changeup too. But as the game went on, you know, the fastball moving it around the zone. Here comes the slider, still sprinkling a few changeups, and this Baltimore lineup was just completely off balance from that point on.
Well, he gave the Orioles something to think about right off the bat. Machado, he struck him out with a changeup, and he struck out Jones with a changeup, the 2nd and 3rd hitters of the game.
Well, then he struck out Chris Davis to start off the 2nd
with the changeup.
Changeup looking.
That's right.
And at that point, you know that they're talking on the bench like, wait a minute, we've seen more changeups in this game than maybe he's ever thrown against us already.
Yep.
And so now they have to respect that pitch because he's having success with it. Makes the fastball and the slider better.
Souza Jr. out on strikes. 1, 2, 3 go the Rays. We head into the 9th. It's 2-0 Tampa Bay. Rays got a run in the 5th and a run in the 6th. Steven Souza Jr.'s one-out walk started the Rays en route to their first run. A double by Curt Casali scored the run. Casali hit by a pitch to force home another one in the 6th. And here we go into the 9th with Erasmo Ramirez out there on the hill facing Adam Jones. Jones, Davis, and Trumbo. 3 very tough hitters. First pitch taken for a strike.
Out number 1 key in this inning here for Erasmo.
Ooh, a big cut right there. 1-2. Jones trying to get 1 run back with 1 swing.
Had a breaking ball up in the zone, took that swing as he stumbled across the plate.
Two low. Little tap. Ramirez fields and throws. 1 gone. Pierce back to the bag to take the throw. 1 away. Chris Davis due. And here comes the Rays skipper Kevin Cash. So Erasmo Ramirez gets out number 1 in the 9th. Back in a moment. Second game of this series tomorrow. Our coverage begins at 6:30 on Fox Sports Sun. Dakota Rizzi goes to the hill for the Rays. Well, you can't get much better than he's been in his last 2 home starts. Ubaldo Jimenez will pitch for Baltimore. Our coverage again at 6:30 tomorrow. Chris Davis to face Xavier Cedeno. 1 ball, no strikes. Seventh appearance for Cedeno. Tapper foul. 1-1. Archer 6 2/3. Romero a third to finish off the 7th. Ramirez pitched the 8th, got the first man in the 9th. Cedeno matched up against the left-handed bat of Chris Davis. That takes the count to 1-2.
Well-placed cutter to get the count fully in his favor.
Did he go? He did not, because Sally hustling after that one because the breaking ball skipped away in the dirt. The count is 2-2.
Let's take a look. Able to hold up.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Dangerous bat on deck. Mark Trumbo, he's red hot. Davis rolls it foul. So in this 2-run game, well, the Rays don't want to give up any base runners. 1 out, 9th inning.
Cedeno going back and forth here with Davis. The cutter, the curveball combo. Speed him up, slow him down.
Ooh, pretty close. That is ball 3. And the count is full.
There's that cutter grip right on the side of the baseball. Late action takes it just off. No chase by Davis.
See, he's loading up everything with that cutting action. 3-2, and it's foul back.
The first one that was out over the plate. And that little bit of velocity, that's where you get that back and forth. It doesn't have to always be 95, 96. He got beat with velocity there just because he's been going cutter, curveball, cutter, curveball, back and forth. Look at the, you see it right there.
Throws his bat, hits a fly ball short center. Kiermaier coming in, he's there. Kiermaier, full speed ahead, coming in to make that grab. 2 gone. Hard to beat speed in center field.
That's it. And we said it earlier in the game. If you have hang time, leave hang time on a ball into the outfield that's in play for Kiermaier, forget it. He's going to track it down. This ball off the bat looked like it may fall in. Nope.
Kiermaier posing for the front of the media guide on that catch. 2 gone. New pitcher coming. Score 2 outs in the 9th inning, and Alex Colomé comes on to match up against Mark Trumbo. Trumbo 0 for 3 against Colomé in his career. Fouls that first one back, mid-90s, in with some heat.
I can't wait until we get it. The way this inning is worked out with Ramirez for the first hitter, Cedeno for Davis, now Colome. When you get the pitching change in the middle of a hitter, you bring a guy in to get ahead, then you bring the guy with the nasty slider in to put him away.
Who's to say that wouldn't happen?
Could happen. So specialized. So specialized, and this particular inning set up perfectly for that with what the Rays had available in the bullpen and the amount of damage that this part of the lineup can cause.
2 strikes the count. Opened with the mid-90s fastball, then the slider. Here we go. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We're in the 9th. Rays got a run in the 5th, another run in the 6th. All the scoring tonight. Colome trying to close it out. 2-2. Trumbo came in with a 9-game hitting streak and singled to center his first time up to extend it. 2-2. Tap third base. That's Longoria. That's the ball game. Longoria to Pierce, and the Rays are winners tonight. 3 up, 3 down against 3 different pitchers in the 9th inning, and the Rays are winners 2-0 to go to 9-10 on the year. Colome will pick up the save. And Chris Archer will get his first win of the year, and a big step in the right direction for Archer tonight. 6 2/3, and for the 14th time in his career, he strikes out at least 10 hitters in a game. 6 2/3, 5 hits, no runs, no walks. Rays pitching gave up absolutely no walks in this game, and Archer with 10 strikeouts. Eddie Romero followed, then Ramirez, Cedeno, and Colome. And so the totals for the Rays: 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors with 8 left. For the Orioles, no runs, 5 hits, no errors with 5 men left. Archer, the winner, 1-4. Gossman, the loser, 0-1. And the save goes to Colome in 2 hours and 37 minutes.
When these games are tightly contested like this, what you were saying, Dwayne, about the walks, that was all the difference, because the Rays were able to take advantage of the Orioles' walks. Rays didn't give the Orioles any, and they win a tight ball game 2-0.
Right now, Todd Callis standing by on the field with Kurt Casale.
Dwayne, thanks. Kurt, Chris Archer certainly picked a tough lineup to have his best game against this year.
Yeah, Chris was locked in from the get-go, and you know, I'm proud of him for the way he bounced back. He's had a rough go of it so far, but you know, we need him if we're going to compete in this thing, and he showed exactly what he can do tonight.
What was working best? Strike one?
Strike one is huge for him. Fastball command was way better than it has been. And you guys saw a big wrinkle in his changeup. His changeup was huge tonight, and it opened up a lot of avenues for him.
Was that a conscious effort on the two of you? First time through the lineup, 4 of his first 5 strikeouts came on the changeup, including a couple of righty on righty.
Yeah, we knew we were going to mix it up a little bit, just based on what these guys did to him last time in Baltimore. A lot of times they sit slider, and not thinking that he's going to throw a changeup near the zone definitely worked in Chris's advantage today. But it all really goes back to his mentality, his competitiveness, and his fastball command. That's really what opened up the doors for him today.
Change up a little better for him than it was last year?
Changeup was nasty tonight. It was really good. It had some definitely split finger action to it, and you know, if he's got that pitch consistently, he's going to be a tough one to beat.
Kurt, you knocked in the game's first run. Gausman was tough on everybody. Tell us about that, AB, where you doubled.
I mean,
you got a little water shower there. You're seeing the end of your double there, but you have to start early against that guy, right?
You have to start early, and frankly, I haven't been contributing much on the offensive standpoint this season, so I'm glad that I was able to put one in play, and you know, credit to Souza for hustling around the bases. But Gausman had some really good stuff tonight. When he's sitting 97, hitting 100 as a starter, I mean, it's not comfortable. It's not a fun at bat, but fortunately I was able to get one over the zone and knock it to left field.
Yeah, and Sousa's the guy that just got you there, so he helped you with the RBI. And paid you. How about the second RBI? A little Bob Uecker hit by pitch with the bases loaded. You're channeling Brandon Guyer on that one?
Yeah, no. Well, Brandon Guyer would have got drilled in the elbow on that one, but I actually tried to get out of the way, and fortunately it grazed me, but I'll take it any way we can get. It's easy to win ball games when the other team doesn't score any runs.
Nice job tonight, Kurt.
Thanks, Todd.
Guys, back to you.
All right, Kurt Casale with Todd Callis. And there is the rite of passage following a victory here from Eddie Ray. And this time it's Kurt Casale, the Rays catcher, who drove in both runs tonight. So a good night for the Rays. Good night for Chris Archer. A 2-0 combination shutout for this pitching staff. And the same two teams will go at it tomorrow as this series continues right here on Fox Sports Sun. Our coverage will be 6:30. Now for Brian Anderson, Todd Callis, and the rest of our crew, this is Dwayne Stats. Great to have you with us. Hope you've enjoyed this telecast. Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers, comes your way next.